Silence after the first murder. Imagine a world still young. The earth had not yet learned the noise of cities. No kingdoms had risen. No armies had marched. No borders had been drawn. There were no legends of war, no stories of betrayal, no graves scattered across valleys. Only one family walked the earth. The sky was wide and innocent. The wind moved freely across untouched land. Mountains stood like silent witnesses to a humanity that had barely begun. And then, the first murder happened. It did not echo through cities. There were no crowds to gasp in horror. No courts, no prisons, no witnesses but the sky and the trembling earth. One brother stood over another. One heartbeat continued. One stopped forever. And then the world fell silent. But this was not peaceful silence. It was heavy. It was fractured. It carried something new, something the earth had never carried before. Blood. Habil lay lifeless upon the soil. Qabil stood breathing, but something inside him had died as well. And somewhere nearby, a father would soon learn that one of his sons would never return home again. This was not just the first crime. This was the birth of consequence, the first father's grief. Adam was more than the first human. He was the first prophet, the first teacher, the first guide. But in that moment, he was something even more fragile. He was a father who had lost his child. He had raised his sons beneath open skies. He had taught them about obedience to Allah. He had warned them about jealousy, that quiet fire that burns the heart from within. He had shown them that righteousness weighs more than pride, that sincerity matters more than strength, that acceptance from Allah is not earned by appearance, but by intention. He had watched Habil grow with gentleness in his heart. He had seen humility in his eyes. He had witnessed the purity of his sacrifice. And now that same son lay motionless upon the earth. Imagine that moment. There had never been a funeral before, never a burial, never a parent standing over the body of a child. There was no example to follow, no ritual passed down through generations. There was only shock. The first shattered heart in human history beat inside Adam's chest. He felt grief, deep and cutting. He felt sorrow, heavy and real. Prophets are human. They feel pain. They feel loss. They feel tears rising in their eyes. But prophets do not break away from faith. They do not curse destiny. They do not lose trust in Allah. Adam did not collapse into despair. He turned his grief into prayer. He lifted his hands to the sky that once honored him before the angels. He whispered words only Allah could hear. And in that moment, humanity learned its first lesson in patience. Sabr was born not in comfort, but in pain. Qabil's shadow. While a father wept with dignity, another son walked in darkness. Qabil could not escape himself. The valley felt smaller. The sky felt heavier. Every breeze seemed to accuse him. Every stone felt like a witness. He avoided his parents. He avoided his mother's eyes. He avoided the horizon. Most of all, he avoided his own reflection in the water. His hands no longer held the weapon. They looked clean, but he knew the truth. The stain was not on his skin. It was on his soul. Jealousy had whispered softly at first. Why him? Why was his sacrifice accepted? Why does he receive what you wanted? That whisper grew louder. Pride joined it. You are stronger. You are more deserving. You should not be second. Then anger entered. Anger does not ask permission. It does not think of tomorrow. It does not imagine consequences. It acts. And in one irreversible moment, Qabil crossed a line humanity had never crossed before. Now regret followed him like a shadow that refused to leave. But regret is not the same as repentance. He felt shame, but he did not seek forgiveness. He felt guilt, but he did not bow in humility. And without repentance, guilt becomes a prison. He was free to walk the earth, but inside he was trapped. This was humanity's first internal war, the war between ego and humility. And Qabil chose ego. A lesson from the smallest teacher. Habil's body lay upon the ground, still, silent. The earth had accepted blood, but it had not yet learned burial. Qabil stood before his brother's body and realized something terrifying. He did not know what to do. Death was new. Loss was unfamiliar. There was no tradition, no inherited knowledge. He could not leave the body exposed. He could not carry it forever. He was lost, not just morally, but practically. And then Allah sent a sign. A crow descended nearby. Two birds fought. Claws struck. Wings flapped violently. One fell lifeless upon the ground. The other remained. The living crow began scratching the earth, digging, moving soil aside with determination. Then it placed the lifeless crow into the ground and covered it. Qabil watched. Silence wrapped around him. A bird had just solved a problem he could not. A creature smaller than him, weaker than him, yet wiser in that moment. Something inside him cracked. He whispered words heavy with humiliation. Woe to me! Am I even more incapable than this crow? For the first time, arrogance bent slightly. For the first time, he saw himself clearly. That moment became humanity's first burial, the first funeral, the first recognition that even in death, dignity matters. Sometimes the greatest lessons do not come from kings, they come from creatures we overlook. Sometimes pride must be humbled by something small. The birth of law. From that single act of violence, a principle was born. Life had been violated, and heaven would not remain silent. The sanctity of life was declared. It became known that whoever kills an innocent soul, it is as if he has killed all humanity. Why? Because when you justify one unjust killing, you weaken the value of all life. When you allow one innocent blood to be spilled without consequence, you open the door for more. Qabil's crime was not isolated, it echoed. Through generations, through history, through every unjust act that would follow. Violence was no longer just an action, it became a moral earthquake. It became a line humanity was warned never to cross lightly. Blood carries consequence. Every drop speaks. Every life matters. And justice became a shield, not just a punishment. A shield for the innocent, a reminder for the powerful, a warning for the arrogant. A changed world. After the first murder, something shifted. Humanity was no longer innocent. Fear entered hearts. Suspicion entered relationships. The possibility of violence became real. Before this moment, disagreement had not led to death. Now it had. Adam understood something profound. Free will is powerful. It is what makes humans different. It allows love to be sincere, faith to be meaningful, obedience to be chosen. But free will without discipline destroys. It turns desire into destruction. It turns comparison into jealousy. It turns pride into violence. Two paths now stood clearly before humanity. The path of Habil, faith, patience, sincerity, sacrifice, and the path of Qabil, jealousy, pride, anger, destruction. Every generation since has faced the same choice. Every heart carries both possibilities.